Dude, nothing sucks worse than when the gunsmith has that perfect gun roll, but you find that you've run out of glimmer. The last thing you want to be is to be that guy farming public events, especially with blueberries, not knowing how to heroic, which is why getting your finances in order is imperative, which is where today's sponsor, Rocket Money, comes into play. Rocket Money is an all-in-one finance platform that helps you save more and spend less. This personal finance app allows you to manage subscriptions, lower your bills, build a custom budget, and grow your savings all in one place. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year when they use all the features, with a whopping $500 million in canceled subscriptions. Hot damn! So guys, don't go broke chasing these God rolls. Join over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/Aztecross, or you can click the link in the description to get started for free. And if you want even more tools to manage your finances, Rocket Money also offers premium features to make tracking your spending even easier. Once again, that's rocketmoney.com/Aztecross to start saving today. Somehow, some way, Outbreak just keeps getting better. And that's because this week, we finally have the exotic catalyst we've been wondering about since the moment we first saw it. And that's access to the perk rewind rounds. We've all been wondering, how exactly does rewind rounds actually proc with something like Outbreak Perfected, considering how unique Outbreak is, since it literally spawns Siva Nanites as you were dealing damage. Now, for those of you that have not seen our original guide, we'll link that down below. But for the rest of you that are trying to get rewind rounds, as well as our second Intrinsic upgrade, as well as more progress on obtaining that exotic ship, we're gonna kick things off as if you've already gotten Outbreak, you've already gotten last week's Intrinsic, which takes us to this point here. First up, to even begin engaging with this week's quest, you need to head on over to Ada 1 in the tower, where you can pick up Outbreak Refined 2. This will task us with collecting more Siva clusters by killing Fallen within Exodus 2A's Lost Sector. Now, many of us went here for last week's quest, so just go back to that same Lost Sector, guys, farm some ads up. You'll see those Siva drops. You may have to clear the whole Lost Sector depending on your RNG, but the moment you get that, you can bounce. Now, the next quest step will have us going into Legend 0 Hour, and you'll need to activate the second pair of switches. Now, this pair can be found just after the first week's pair. Past the room where you need to jump up the pipe, and the first switch will be found here on your right. And you'll know this area as that jumping section area. Now, you want to make sure you get this right, guys, because unlike last week, you can't go backwards in the mission structure. Essentially, when you activate that switch, you'll receive the Catalyst Switch Prime buff for 30 seconds. And last week, you can go from panel to panel from either side. This week, though, when you start up top and you interact with this panel, when you move down through those air ducts, you cannot go back up. We tried this a number of times, guys. Maybe there is a way. The only thing that we found, in case you mess up and you get down there and you run out of time, because again, it's a 30-second timer, is that you have to kill yourself and hope you spawn back up top. The main thing is, guys, you want to get this right. Hit that panel, get that Catalyst Switch Prime buff, and move down to this point as quickly as you can and interact with that panel on the left behind these pipes. After this, you simply need to just continue the mission like you would normally. That's something we didn't mention last week because we thought it changed weekly, but it actually changes daily, and that's the incinerator floor puzzle. Now, big shout out to D2 Lost Sector on Twitter. Here are all the paths on screen. Now, like the original 0 Hour, the path changes depending on the elemental threat, being arc, solar, or void. But instead of it changing weekly here, it changes daily. So just always reference the modifiers when loading in, or when you just pull out your ghosts, and then take the corresponding path. After that, or once you defeat the final boss and you loot the chest, you'll get another 1810 Outbreak Perfected, as well as more quest progression. You'll then need to return to Ada, where you can complete the quest and claim rewind rounds as your reward. Now, I would highly recommend, before reshaping your Outbreak, that you unlock this week's Intrinsic upgrade. You'll also get more progress toward that exotic ship. Now, to do this, you can be on either difficulty, and if you feel comfortable enough, you can definitely do it in that legend run when going for that catalyst. Again, you only have 20 minutes though, so it really just comes down to how quickly you can move. But this is just like last week, where we will be shooting some hidden symbols with Outbreak. The location of this week's puzzle is after all of the combat rooms and where the path diverges on legend and normal difficulty. You want to head into this vent where you'll find the initial panel. Then once you've activated it and got the buff, you then shoot the symbols in order as they appear on both the panel and the hologram in the middle of the area. Now, one of the symbols will be under the stairs here. Another one is on the opposite side of this wall on the top floor, and the last last will be behind some more stairs on the middle floor. Now, once you've shot all 3 in the correct order, you'll get a pop-up in the chat saying sequence accepted. You can then continue into the vault room where we do exactly what we did last week, but now with the next open door. Now, once again, all of the information you need will be on the screen. The door we opened just now is this one, the diamond-shaped door. Essentially, align yourself facing the back of the room and interact with the buttons from top to bottom with each arrow corresponding to one button. Now, the black arrows are in the unlocked room. The orange are the buttons outside. So on the screen now is us interacting with the buttons in that order. Now, once you've completed the sequence, you'll receive the Corruption Spreads 3. This is the next Intrinsic, and this one's extremely important as it unlocks magazine perks. Now you can head on over to the Enclave, guys, and slot not only rewind rounds, but a mag perk of your choice, which is what I wanted us to get into right now, the review portion of Outbreak Perfected. You see, guys, when it comes to rewind rounds, obviously perks that boost the magazine size is really important. Your options include Tactical Mag, which increases our mag size to 39, a Pendant Mag, which increases our mag size to 42, and Extended Mag, which increases our mag all the way up to 45. I know, it's showing 44 and 40 and different numbers there in the Enclave, but when you actually spec it out and craft it, it will show the actual magazine size. Now, despite Extended Mag normally being a perk I would never choose, considering it tanks our reload speed, the synergy it has here with Outbreak and those Siva Nanites and rewind rounds is just too good, at least for damage phases. And yes, we are going to be doing damage testing this week with this. Now, if you are going to go this route, I do highly advise rocking a kinetic loader mod because that reload speed is not the best. But this also takes us to rewind rounds itself. Now, last week we got to play with rapid hits. We utilized it inside of PvP. We played it in trials, and dude, it feels great. Now, I still think Headseeker is going to be a big play, especially for PvP. I've had some questions asked, will Headseeker get procced by Outbreak? I'm not sure. I wouldn't think that's the case, but we'll test it out nonetheless. However, for my PvE players, I think rewind rounds is by far the best option. But to understand why it's so good, we need to take a look at Outbreak's performance at base to just understand how much more optimized this exotic just became. Our exotic intrinsic perk is called the Corruption Spreads, and this reads that the weapon creates Siva Nanite swarms on rapid hits and precision kills. Those Siva Nanites are so nice. I even use it in things like Pantheon just to drop Siva Nanites down, to tack on extra damage to ads that are spawning in. They linger for a bit. Then everything we know and love about this weapon and its great DPS for a primary comes from its other perk and its catalyst. The perk Parasitism reads, this weapon does more damage to enemies based on the number of Siva Nanites that attach to them. And then its catalyst takes that even further, stating it increases nanite damage. Enemies that die with nanites attached to them generate additional nanites. So before we even dive into boss damage and how juiced up Outbreak is with this new perk, I just want to point out Outbreak's performance as an ad clear weapon, especially considering it's getting a hefty buff in the final shape. Yes, it's getting its exotic damage toned back 10%, but we're also getting a 30% increase, which is that 20% and 15% respectively, and this will go live with the final shape. So for instance, right now we're dealing 4,777 damage per shot to a miner, and the Seekers deal 6,595 damage. Now in the final shape, this is going to jump up to 5,933 per shot, and our Seeker damage is going to go up to 8,191. That's nuts, guys. Outbreak right now is already performing extremely well, and personally, I actually see myself utilizing this over Graviton Lance. Those Seekers that spawn offer precision kills absolutely destroy those nearby targets, and that can spread even more Seekers. But this takes us to rewind rounds. I know we've had Outlaw, and I know we have rapid hits, and don't get me wrong, those are good perks too, but rewind rounds was literally meant for Outbreak, as this contributes directly into that boss damage. You see, guys, the Seekers themselves, they count towards activating rewind rounds, and the perk here for rewind rounds reads that when this weapon's magazine is empty, it refills from reserves based on the number of hits. Specifically, rewind rounds should refill 60% of its hits landed as ammo to the magazine, and just like I said, Seeker hits count for this. So just to showcase this, here at Carl, 9 shots will refill just 6 bullets, but then if we shoot 9 shots but get some kills with them, therefore spawning those Seekers, this will now refill 15 bullets. So yes, even as you slay out, you don't even need to hit all of your shots because the Seekers will start stacking up those hits and essentially guarantee you get the most out of reround rounds every time you empty your magazine. Now, one thing to note, at least for this version of reround rounds, it seems to be more potent than the normal version. And at least from our testing, this seems to be a unique version for Outbreak, similar to like Archer's Tempo and Leviathan's Breath. In our testing, reround rounds would often refill about 60% 66% of the mag, going from 45 to 30. But if there was ever a particularly large amount of nanites on my targets, this could actually increase a lot. In this case at Carl, it went from 45 to 33, which is 73% of its hits, making it even better than the enhanced version of rewind rounds. So even for ad clear, rewind rounds is still the best pick. Obviously, it's the best pick for just laying damage into a boss, but it's really the best for both. Now let's talk about boss damage. The first thing to note here is that the blanket buff of 20% damage against all combatants will mean every number you're about to see is going to be much higher in the final shape, which takes us to the actual numbers. Here on Greg, our first damaging body shot deals 830 damage. Then if we get our max damage increase that goes all the way up to 3,736 per shot, that is a whopping 450% increase in damage. But to make use of that buff, you need to fill your targets with as many nanites as possible. And this is where Outbreak's unique fireteam synergy comes in. It doesn't have to be just your nanites, as other Outbreaks will add nanites to enemies, and this increases everyone's damage faster. There's a reason why people have utilized this in day one raids. Swapping to 6 Outbreaks to finish a boss off can literally save you when you're getting damage checked. But the big thing here is still getting as many shots into a target as quickly as possible. And the one thing that always slows us down are those pesky reloads. Now, we already spoke about how rewind rounds refills our magazine, and that will be the best part when our only goal is to hold down the trigger. But with a magazine of 45, rewind rounds will allow you to fire off 111 shots without reloading. Now, of course, this does vary depending on if your nanites bypass the normal refill amount, but you can expect to shoot around 100 shots in any given setting. That's amazing. Using rewind rounds against Greg allowed us to deal 564,909 damage by the end of a damage phase. And just to give you a point of reference, if I was to use rapid hits with Lunafaction boots, this puts us at 446,636 damage. The reason why this damage difference is so vast is because of rewind rounds. It allows us to stack many more nanites more quickly with little to no interruption. This is a fantastic perk on this weapon, guys. I can't believe that it synergizes this well. We speculated that it would synergize with saving nanites, but in my opinion, it has gone above and beyond all of our expectations. Next week, we will have Headseeker, which we will be testing. And I guess the question for that one is going to be, can the nanite damage proc as body shot damage and therefore giving us infinite increase in crit damage? Personally, I think Headseeker is going to be the go-to trait for PvP. I think Outbreak is already extremely steady enough as it is. You tack on Headseeker with that increase in aim assist, it's going to be disgusting. But even if it does give us like that permanent increase in crit damage for PvE, I believe rewind rounds is still the king here. Well, guys, that is our review for Outbreak Perfected. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.